Well, welcome everybody to session 16, UDOT Maintenance Project Planning. It's a great opportunity today to learn about some innovative processes and approach that Region 2 is developing to planning for their maintenance projects as part of the department's kind of broader effort to develop three-year plans in each of the program areas. And Region 2 has done a great job in accomplishing that in the maintenance area. Excited to hear about that. We've got three presenters, and first we got Chip Mason-Hill. And Chip is currently Region 2 pre-construction engineer. He's been with UDOT for over 14 years. He's worked in Regions 1, 2, and Pseudo 3. Is that a reference to the core project, I-15 core? In the complex, he's worked on Legacy Highway, I-15 core. I worked with Chip on that project, and Chip and I also share an interest in Virginia Tech. Is there any Hokies in the crowd?
Go Hokies.
Okay. I didn't think so, but you never know.
No. They do wear pink in October for breast cancer.
The Fighting Gobblers. Anyway. Bridge inspection and maintenance. He's a graduate of Norwich University, and he's originally from Bedford, Virginia. Marjorie Rasmussen is a professional engineer, has worked for UDOT for 12 years. She's currently working as the West District maintenance engineer, and previously she was Region 2 traffic engineer. And she did a lot of work with me and my group over at the Traffic Operations Center, and we really like Marjorie. She does a great job. And she received her bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Oklahoma State. Go Cowboys. And last but not least, Devin Weeder. Devin's a recent civil engineering graduate from the U of U. He did a year-long internship in the UDOT Structures Division while he was in school, and he was hired on this summer in the rotational program, and he's at Region 2. And your next rotation is going to be in traffic, right? So if you hang in there, it gets better. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Say, Chip's up first.
All right. I'm going to use this one here. Do you want to send those around?
Yeah, I'll send around the sign-in sheets. Make sure you get that.
Okay. So we're going to talk about MP3, which is the maintenance project planning and prioritization tool. It's a mouthful, so we use MP3 to talk about it. So, maintenance project planning has been around pretty much since there's been maintenance stations. It's had many names, but the bottom line is it's a method to request money for bigger projects than the station can do with their existing budgets. This presentation will go through the changes that Region 2 has made to their project planning process. So sit back, well, as comfy as possible, and enjoy. So where I was planning, so I'm going to try to and start at the point where we were when we came forward for a need for the three-year plan in all areas. I think most can agree that a few years ago, the plan for a maintenance project was to request money, and if you got it, do the project, which is great. If you didn't, save the paper and request it again next year. These requests were often written up on hard copies of old spreadsheets, like this one. Because they were handwritten, they were extremely brief at best, and if the individual doing the writing had handwriting like mine, you couldn't read it. So from the sheet, you can see there are locations for document costs. And again, it's handwritten, so a single line was often used instead of being very detailed. Let's see. This was, and the costs were coming from the sheds. So a lot of times it was costs from past year similar projects, rough estimates from what the shed foreman thought it should cost, or sometimes they would actually go to contractors and get quotes for the work. That's a little problematic because the contractors would then assume they were going to be getting the project within the next 30 to 90 days, which was not always the case. So most of these were also filled out because of a specific issue affecting the roadway at that particular moment, which makes it more reactionary instead of actual planning. Some were was done for paving operations that were a yearly occurrence, usually on a level 2 or a seasonal road, and that was probably the closest we had to planning at the time. So we were tasked with creating a 3-year plan. It's a huge challenge. 3 years of projects that were thought out and able to be put into EPM with locations, descriptions, estimates, and a scheduled year of completion. First, I was dumbfounded for how to even come about and how to start this task. How do we convince the stations first to give me a list of projects that they want done over the next 3 years instead of the ones they want done in the next month? How do I compile, store, update, and relay that information to my supervisors? How do I distribute the projects over different years when funding for these projects is always in flux? You have Code 1 funding, which depends on if it's a big winner or small winner, how much money we have left over. Contingency money, can I convince the region director this is the best use of their money? Maintenance spot money. It's dependable, but it's a very small amount, so you're not going to do a lot of projects for it. Or a safety spot project, which then you got to figure out, does it actually qualify for this type of money? And if so, does it beat out other regions or other areas' needs? So second, I needed to come up with something quick to get the information into EPM. This was pretty easy. I just emailed the stations. They were very responsive. They sent me all kinds of different things. Some sent packets that were great. Other ones sent handwritten documents that, again, had a couple lines filled out on it and were kind of hard to follow. Some came with photos. Some came with 10 words total. So after we did this run, I decided this was not the right way to get this information. It was not dependable, it was not recreatable, and it did not provide all the needed information. We needed a better communication tool that could sell a smaller project better than any other group. Money was tight, and if we put the effort into our preparation and can answer the questions with confidence and show a picture of an existing issue, then we had a greater chance of actually getting money. So the communication tool was the first hurdle. I'm sure everyone has heard the term, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Actually, in this case, it's worth a lot more than that. So having seen recent project information sheets and project cover sheets for concept reports and other major projects, Troy Peterson and I decided this was the type of document we needed, with pictures and much better descriptions. With those project information sheets in mind, I laid out a rough draft and showed it to Troy. It had a spot for map, photo, and a good-sized box for scope of work. It's really small, but that's what the sheets look like. The second page was pretty much the same as the old sheet, so we didn't have to reinvent the wheel with that. It's still got a place to put the estimate in and get that information conveyed. So once we reviewed and accepted this, we moved forward to try to get it out to the sheds. I worked with Cody Raymond, who's a rotational of ours at the time, and developed an Adobe form that we could share and edit easily through the Google Drive. The next issue we came up with was the estimating or guesstimating we had going on. I found that the majority of the projects we were doing were covered by a small handful of existing contracts. So I put that information into a single location that was easy for the sheds to access. There's a tab for the existing equipment contracts that had everything from a skid steer to a paver with a crew. The next tab was for asphalt material. The tab allows the shed to pick their location, and then it would show them the average cost for the asphalt material available. And my pages are stuck together. And the third tab is the average for all the flat work contracts into one unit cost for the items they provide. I don't know if you can read that, but that's the existing contracts we had. This spreadsheet allowed the stations to get estimates for projects without having to call the contractors and having them bid items or just guessing at a rough cost. There are times when special items are needed, and for those, the sheds would call the contractor and get a bid for the special item of work. But they would explain to the contractor that they were creating a plan and that the work was not going to be done most likely within the next 90 days, so you don't need to spend a lot of time and effort giving us the estimate on it. Give us a pretty rough estimate. We can get a more detailed one when we actually get funding for this. So the next question was, how does a new driveway compete with a traffic study that is being requested by a representative? The answer is it doesn't unless you make it. We needed to sell our maintenance projects just like a major study or project or a legislative request. So we went to GIS and in hopes that they could help us find a way to fund it. So GIS, we worked with Adrian Welsh in Region 2. He helped us convey our project needs and locations on our U-Plan map. So this map is actually for downtown Salt Lake. It's got multiple stations in the area. They're depicted by the different colors on the map, if you can see that. The lines on there, the little yellow line, let's see if I can go over here. Actually, that's actually a spot project. The one up there, you click on it, it brings up an information box, so you can actually see a little information about it. See the station that's requesting it, the beginning and ending milepost, an estimated cost. So, let's see. The mapping made it a lot easier for us to sell our projects and to get the money from the multiple sources. Excuse me. Multiple sources we talked about. The contingency money, it's a nice spot if you can get your fingers into it. The maintenance spot money, it's a small pot but covers a lot of different items. Safety spot is very big but it has restrictions. And the most common one we use is Code 1 maintenance money. But it depends on how kind of snow year you have. So the project planning tool finally allowed maintenance a way to sell their needs to more people with bigger pots of money. Now that you're aware of how we started, we'll go to Marge to talk about some successes. Do you want the mic or do you want the mouse? Okay.
I came in on Chip's coattails, so I get to talk about the success of the program, which has been awesome for me and for all the maintenance guys. We have now a list of, I don't think I need my booth carried. That's if I need my, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, yeah, I know, I've been told.
But they're recording as well, but.
Oh, can you still hear me?
It'd be helpful if you just.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, it's been a really successful program. Since we have a list of projects always available, they've all got a great picture of the problem, an estimate that's accurate, and we've asked for more detailed descriptions. And that way, anybody can come in and pick up one of those packages. If you can't be there on the day that you need to take it to the asset management team, or if we have change of personnel, those documents are all ready to go. And the maintenance guys love them because they're actually seeing the items of work out there that they've wanted done for a long time. We can get it out. We've had projects that we've started to look for funding in May, and we've actually constructed them by July. So part of that process too is the prioritization of those projects, and the guys are doing that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next slide and how we go through that process. But the main idea is that we've got accurate information, they're all on hand, everything's ready to go, and the data's there, and we can pick them up as we go. Every station has quite a lot of projects, big and small, that they've submitted because they know that they're getting done. Whoops, wrong side. There we go. So Chip talked a little bit about reallocation of funds, and so did Carlos talk a little bit about it. So reallocation of the snow removal funds. We have a world-class team of snow plowers and people that work on that. We have $7.5 million that we allocate each year towards plowing. But, well, and this year with the El Nino, we're thinking we have about a 50-50 chance of having big snow. I'm hoping for big snow. But in the case that we have a real light snow, then what do we do with all of those funds? And, well, I should move on here. Chip's looking at me. Yeah, this is it, the snow god. Uller, the snow god. This is a Norse myth. This is the person we're hoping for to, he is a skier. He wields a bow, and he travels all over the world in the ancient myths and covers everything with snow. But if he doesn't come, then we're stuck with $7.5 million. But we have a whole bunch of projects that are ready to go that we can go out and get done right away and use our public funds wisely. Whoops, wrong side again.
Is there a website you track him?
You can find him on the website. It's Uller, the Norse snow god. Also, Central Maintenance has end-of-year funds that we can use up with these three-year plan for the maintenance projects. In the springtime, with budget discussions, each of the maintenance stations will meet with the district engineers, and they need to go over their budgets, and if they can show and bring the data of what they need done, it can be anything from fencing to potholes or bigger drainage projects, then they can vie for a bigger pot of the money. Since we sent out the first one, we've done some updates. One thing we've done is some standalone asset projects. So those would be bigger projects. Say if we had cattle guards in Twilla, cattle guards in Wanship, and some in Grantsville that we needed to do, we could put those all into one project, and then we could look for funding that may be left over from, say, preservation, Orange Books, Purple Book projects, and we've got them all ready to go. And we really have accomplished a great deal, just since I've been in maintenance in the little time I've been over in that area. The other thing that we added was a box for prioritization that's on the form now. So we start with the station supervisors. Every time they put in a new project, they renumber theirs from 1 to however many they might have. It could be 20, 30 projects each station will have in there. When it gets time to give out the money, then those would go to the area supervisors. They would each have maybe between 4 and 6 sheds, so they look over what the station's done, and knowing their whole area, pick the priorities out of those. Then it goes, they then take those to the district engineers, and then up the ladder to the region. So that's an area that we're still working on, because if the station does do a project, then they have to go in and manually renumber the prioritization of their projects. So Devin is going to talk a little bit more about our phase 3 updates. And that's a handout to Devin.
Yeah, questions are at the end. All right, thanks, Marge. So when I first came in I guess it was in July, I looked at this project and I saw that how much time Chip was putting into it, and being the lazy new guy, I said, well, can't we like make a website for that? And so Chip said it was impossible because he had to go through DTS. Luckily, we found out we don't have to go through DTS. So we went through and we figured out how to make this app. And so what we're going to be doing, we have a couple challenges to solve. So when you fill out this form, you have to go in and fill out a PDF. But then either you or someone else has to go back in and fill out an Excel sheet. And you do the same exact information, but put it into a new form. And so that just takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of wasted effort. And knowing a lot of the guys that fill it out, they don't like Excel. They don't want to be in the office filling it out. So it's just a lot of wasted effort. And not to mention, sometimes it doesn't get filled out. So you go in, and they fill out the form, and they think they're done. And then I don't know they filled out the form, and it never gets put into the Excel spreadsheet, which means it never gets uploaded onto GIS. And then at that point, no one knows about it, unless they go and follow through the steps. And it just gets very complicated. So we also use Google Drive to sync all the files. And so we installed Google Drive on everyone's computer and had them log in. Well, since through DTS, we have to change our password every 3 months. Every 3 months, it's going to kick them out. And all it does is it pops up a little tiny box and tells them, hey, you need to sign back in. Well, some people don't. They just, close the box. So we've had people go a month telling me, hey, no, I'm putting the files in there. Well, we come to find out it kicked them out and they hadn't been logged in. So we're trying to move away from Google Drive, and it's going to solve a lot of problems. The other problem with the form, so it'll say, what's the route? Well, the route needs to be 0080P, not I-80. But how are they supposed to know that? So with this website, it's going to be accessible anywhere. You can pull it up on your phone, your iPad, your computer at home, And you can fill out the form. That form will go straight into the Excel, straight onto GIS, onto UPlan. There's gonna be no additional hassle. You just fill it out and it's done. That's more efficient, more accurate. You can do it in the field. You can go out there and be standing on site, measuring it out, entering the measurements, and you'll get your cost right there. And we're hoping to have the estimation tool as well, so you can get your estimate right away. But doing the website, we'll be able to make these forms self-verified. So when you type in, I-80, it'll say, hey, that's not a good route. You can't do that. And it'll pop up a list of routes. And I'm hoping that we can have it so if you typed in I-80, it would accept it and then automatically know that it has to actually be 0080P, which is pretty simple to do on the software side, but solves a lot of headaches. And it's really hard to do manually. So this gets rid of all the bad data. And like I said before, this is going to be fed straight into GIS, straight to the UPlan, which could be done once a day, twice a day, however many times you want. They don't care. And hopefully, if you guys buy into this, we can roll it out to the whole state. Troy and Danny, our district engineers, have funded us for $15,000. So that funds us up to the form and get it into UPlan. So we'll be able to track everything. But with more funding, we could get the estimation tool and any other cool doodads anyone comes up with. And this is all done without DTS, so there's no big hoops to jump through. And we'll just have a contractor working on it that will be able to answer all our problems. And any questions? Yes?
One GIS question.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you're populating the attribute table
Yep.
on the back end,
Mhm.
and it automatically refreshes the map.
Yeah.
Who do I talk to figure out how I can implement that for my,
Which region are you at?
I'm in the complex.
Okay, so that would be,
Region 4 is doing it. So are you the GIS guy?
no, I'm not. So we work with Adrian, who's actually leaving soon, so we need to get a new guy. But at the complex, it's going to be Becky Helm and all of her people, Jelm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then on your projects, you go out on the street for all those? I'm assuming you do.
They're all procurement projects, most of them.
So they're under 50K?
They don't have procurement. They're already under,
So they on the pre-qual list,
Yep,
you just
pre-qualified
pull
list,
just pull a trigger.
Mhm.
but just like our signal projects and stuff like that. Actually, all the flat worker contracts that we have that were listed in there are actually owned by traffic and safety. So they're already existing contracts owned by traffic and safety, just like they do for their signal projects. We can do the same thing, give them a call up, call the next one on the list, have them come out and do the work for us.
So you get a quote from them, and
We already have their estimate.
then you generate a PO?
Yep.
You're ready to pull the trigger for the project.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have our estimate we have our known prices for the known quantities or known elements. If we have unknown elements, we can ask them to give us a price for it, and then we can just put it right into the information sheet, go in and ask Nathan and Brian if we've got city or county buy-in on it for contingency money. If we don't, if it's got some safety stuff to it, we go beg safety spot money for it. If not, we can do it with Code 1 money.
So do you have to generate a PSO request for everyone to drive?
Nope. Yeah, if we have to go out on the street, yes, we have to create a PSO, but most of these are not
Any other
PSOs.
sole source? So that kind of muddies the water a little bit? No, it's not.
Most of it's flat work, paving, chip seals, stuff like that.
General stuff.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Tents, stuff like that. Other questions? Come on, you guys gotta have a lot of questions. We got like an hour left. Okay, thank you.
In May and June, how responsive are your contractors that have your paving and your equipment? How responsive are they coming out and working to accomplish this project before July?
Pretty responsive last year. Last year, we had a pretty light snow year, so we had quite a bit of leftover money. And so we spent most of our money, tried to spend it early on, and then the magic drawers in the complex opened up and more money poured out. And so we got that money and we were able to go to our list and say, okay, they're sending us X number of dollars. What are the top 10 projects we have in the region? And we sat down with the area supervisors, myself, Troy, Danny, went through there and said, okay, these are the 10 projects we want to fund. We've got this much money coming from Central. These top three projects, we'll take that money. Let's fund those. Call the contractor. They're like, yep, we'll get them done for you before July 1st. So they were pretty responsive this year. And so even when we had, I think it was even in June, we had another pot of money roll out. We were able to go back to that list, pull 2 or 3 more things off and send them out. They don't all have to be paving projects. You know, some of them are flat work projects, drainage projects, so that we could use multiple contractors that we had available.
What's the sequence for updating that list, for updating projects or changes?
So when I was there, the sequence was I would open up the spreadsheet, update it manually, and then save it again.
Do they do it annually?
Nope, the sheds can put them in anytime. So the sheds, if they're out driving a route and see, you know, we had a heavy rain, the shoulder washed out, I'm exposing end of pipe, I lost my end section, take a picture of it, estimate how much material got removed, go back, write this up, send it in, and put it right up on their list, and they could even call and say, hey, this is a big priority to me, move it to the top for my station.
Any given shed can have between 5 and 20+ projects.
Yeah.
Yep.
They can be anything from, like I said, just some shouldering to $1.5 million worth of wildlife fence or snow fencing areas, even full paving jobs up on Mirror Lake Highway. So
We have done a lot of partnering with the community too, and, just, up in the canyons, ski resorts, things like that, because the contingency funds, the guys know that if they can find a partner in the city or something to work together on something, that, we have contingency funds available for those, so they've been really great. I think it's been really good asset and getting the guys thinking a lot about talking with the communities and stuff and the people that are out there. We've done a lot of partnering projects with this program.
and what Marge is saying with that, it's been great because you can go find new partners. I know up around Rockport Reservoir, station foreman there went and talked to Parks and Rec. We actually paved the pullouts around Rockport. Everyone uses them, so the Parks and Rec's like, yeah, we'll kick in some money. So they kicked in a little bit. We were able to cover the rest with contingency funds and actually get them paved and make them look really nice for people to use. So. Yeah. Do you want to do that or you want me to? For the asset management? For how we go to the asset management route for review?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because they're up on the GIS, because we can put them on U-Plan, we can look at our orange and purple book projects or any project in the region, because everything's on U-Plan. So then we can see, well, maybe we don't want to do this one because there's another project that's a paving project that we can maybe get the fencing in, or add that into that project and get everything done at once, so we're not moving to the same place 3 times, once for fence, once for paving, things like that. So that's been another way to avoid conflict and try to get everything done while we're out there. Was that the idea that you had, Troy? Yeah, okay.
Are these all signed to an RE when they go out?
No.
Is it stations that
Yep.
Matt watching?
You asked if they were assigned to an RE when they go out. They are not. Typically, they're smaller projects, so they're just signed directly to the station. The station usually sends a guy out to watch, make sure, you know, the concrete's gray with rocks in it before it's placed, type deal. And the asphalt's hot, black, and sticky with the smooth side up.
They are all given a PIN,
Yep.
project number though, and we have one project manager that handles all of these types of projects. So if you have a question, where's your funding? Or, you know, if the guys didn't spend all the money and stuff like that, we have a way, kind of a back door to keep track of that. Steve will come and get us once a month, and then we can, follow up with him and make sure that, the funding's been spent. If it hasn't, we can easily and quickly move it to another project or back into the plot.
So I think one facet we didn't mention was that we hoped that this would be used by designers. So they say, you know, we're going to be doing a project on 5600 South. Let's pull up this maintenance map and see what they think needs to be done. You know, so say like, what if they were just going to do pavement, but maybe there's a bunch of deficient signs? They'd say, oh, let's replace the signs while we're out there doing the pavement. Because it's a small cost, it's associated with a large project. So it's pretty easy to get in, but you could also miss it, and it'd be too late. Once you're out there, it's too late. You'd have to do a big change order, and you'll probably just not replace the signs.
Brian?
Yeah, just a comment of how how the tools helped us out at the region is, every region goes through phases where they don't have money or they've got a lot they got to spend quickly. And so what's been nice with having these sheds collect all the data and then put it into GIS is we've developed a region asset management team that we meet monthly, and every month we talk about projects and how to fund them. And so if we get some good bids on some of our projects and we have some extra money left over, then we'll work with our district engineers, area supervisors to prioritize and decide, do we want to move a project forward? And so the nice thing about it is the list is there. The stations are continually updating them so that there's always, as soon as a project's complete, we eliminate it from the list, and then, new projects are added on. But monthly, we meet and decide whether we're gonna fund contingency projects, whether we have money left over from good bids, or you name it, and then we're able to get out there and fix a lot of these projects. And the neat thing about it is our station supervisors and crews are seeing how quickly we're actually getting to fixing the projects that they're putting in there. So now they're more interested in putting more data in there because we're getting around to finding a lot of them. So it's been a great tool.
So you status the project by showing complete on the map, so they can see like, status on the map?
Currently, no.
On the map, we just delete it.
So right now, for bookkeeping, we keep the forms, but we get rid of it off the spreadsheet because it's really hard to manage that. That's another thing with the website. It'll be just a database, so we'll be able to say, once it changes to complete, file it away, save it forever.
Just disappears out.
Yeah, and you could, yes, that's why we always keep the forms. But so that's not the perfect way to do it, but with this new website, I think it'll be a lot better.
I'd like to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
One other thing that I really like about this is, with this maintenance plan thing is, we've got it broke down in different categories. So we've got our, lands and buildings in there, we've got our safety spots. You can go to structure issues, we've got a tab in there for structures. So our station supervisors, they enter all that data right underneath those categories. And it's been very useful for me, because like Brian talked about asset management meetings. When we're talking about those projects, I can go to any one of those tabs and have that information immediately, with cost and needs. And I like the way that's broke down. It's really made us much more efficient.
So how many of you guys have seen these before? Oh, Region 2 guys. I know we sent it out to all the other regions for them to play with and look at and see what issues they saw with it.
Are you delivering on public?
Yeah, it's straight through UPlan. So if you just go to uplan.utah.edu or .gov,
That goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't require login.
it
It
does
does
not
not,
right
no.
now. No.
just go to the Region 2 Maps page, and then it's Region 2 MP3 tool.
Yep.
Click on that, it'll bring up all the stations and all the little projects. You can click on those. So if you click on one of the projects, it brings up the dialog box, gives you some brief information there. If you actually click on more info, it'll take you to the project planning sheet. So you can see a photo of the issue, a better description of the issue, how they came up with that cost estimate for the issue, information like that.
Yeah.
Are you connected in that's showing how the
No,
I'm
we're not on the Wi-Fi, so. Can we get on the Wi-Fi?
You can go back
Oh,
to this
Ethernet.
thing and show the
Okay.
Yeah, the other real benefit that we're seeing is that these guys have created it all around the different sheds. So sheds can go put on,
spacebar doesn't work, so it's kind of hard to type in the actual login. There you go.
Yeah, we're on the
Just
right
drag
one.
it over to that one.
It doesn't usually show up on the front.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does.
Go back.
It keeps changing. Sorry.
How did you go back that way? There. Okay.
All right, I've got it.
Okay.
So if you're on the,
Not work.
it'll work. All right. It's, all right. We'll get it. All right, so if you go to the main U-Plan site, you should be able to come over here, and this is the gallery, so you can click over to the side, and it should be on there, according to Chip.
Just click on region 2. Here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So if you highlight the map, you can see the different regions, region 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you click on region 2, it takes you to a new wonderful tab. In that tab, you have the Maintenance Project Prioritization Planning Tool, or MP3. You click on that, and it'll bring up the map. Shows the whole state, but it takes a minute for it to load. Yeah, we'll zoom in. Did not want to
Hopefully
zoom in.
Adrian got it working.
Yeah. It was working the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
There we go.
So yeah, they're all color coded. You can see up here, barrier, drainage, fencing. They're color coded, and if you click on them, you'll be able to see the description.
So that was a $507,000 project. So,
Right.
and you can scroll down through this if I can get the scroll to work.
So at this point, this is your plan for next year?
It's
Whenever money's available.
Yep. So it's whenever, yeah.
Priority for the region.
Right.
yeah. So it's less of a 3-year plan and more of a ongoing plan for whenever you have money.
Yeah. That's why we didn't call it the 3-year plan, because we don't have a dependable money source. It's not like an orange or purple book where you know you're getting this much money every year to fix all your problems, right? We have a list of projects where if code 1, if we have a really light snow year, we'll have a lot of money to go play with, which is great. We can go do a bunch of projects. Whereas if Euler visits, we don't have any money. So we can go do some minor, smaller projects, go after contingency money, go beg for safety spot. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's where the prioritization comes in is, so Marge and I sat down one time and she just said, let's fund some projects. Sat down, we looked at the prioritizations and we did it. And then we went back to the guys and said, here's the projects. These are good. Like, do you guys still want to do these projects? Okay, here's the money. And we didn't have to go and ask each individual supervisor, what do you want? So it takes out the preferential treatment you sometimes have, where you really like certain people and so you ask them first. Yeah, and it's not like it's sometimes it's unintentional. It's just the guys that come. It's the guys that come into the office. They're the ones that you see, so you ask them about projects.
Where's my X?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one other comment too, that's been a benefit is as our designers start putting together orange and purple book projects or any of our tip projects, they're able to pull this information up and see what's on the list to be fixed. And then, the first option is let's see if we can get it into a project, into a typical project. So we're able to pull up that location and see, oh, we need curb and gutter in this area. Let's, now with the flexibility with our asset management funding, we're able to add some of those items to a regular project. So.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Well, if you do, you can always call Marge. We're all 3 state employees, so you can email us, ask us any questions you want. So, okay. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the conference.